Before we get to the 2024 Arnold Classic, we have our 2023 Bodybuilding Award Show, which includes Most Shredded, Most Improved, Rookie of the Year, plus much more. What's the word? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding. Today I'm joined by Jimmy Sadek in the top corner and Michael Galley just below. And we're doing our 2023 Bodybuilding Awards. We've got Rookie of the Year, Most Improved, Most Shredded, and Bodybuilder of the Year. We're going to go through it and decide. And you guys can let us know who you have for each category in the comments below. But let's kick it off, boys, with the Rookie of the Year. I'll go to you first, Jimmy. We've got a few names like Rubiel, Mosquara. We've got Carlos Thomas Jr. There's a few other guys out there as well. But for me, I personally think it's Rubiel because of that sort of performance in that lineup. But who do you think's Rookie of the Year in 2023?
Biggest splash, biggest hype, pretty much the biggest would be Nexzilla, Rubiel. Just the impact he made, winning his pro card, competing the next day, coming top 3, and then just the heat that he generated for the next 2 or 3 weeks. That's all anyone spoke about. Probably an easy win for him, really. Carlos Thomas Jr., sorry. I'd probably have him second.
You got Justin Shier as well, who obviously made his pro debut and won it, but some people saying obviously it was a close contest.
Justin was like... He even though he's new, he feels like he's been around for a while. So like Rookie of the Year is kind of like a splash, like it makes a big impact. Where Justin was just like he won his first pro show, respectable place in the Olympia. I'd probably put him above Carlos Thomas then, but Rubiel just too much for anyone to handle. Like he dominated headlines for fucking a fortnight.
Yeah, well, even over, everyone's still talking about him still now doing this Arnold Classic. But Mick, where do you sit on this one, and who do you have for Rookie of the Year?
I just want to comment on how fucking big Jimmy's looking right now on the screen.
Yeah, he's looking large, isn't he? He's taking up a large portion. I've got to expand.
I'm having a high day today.
He's bloody morphed in 2 weeks. I agree. Yeah, Rubiel for sure. Absolutely. Hands down, like dominated, getting his pro card and then third the next day. What about Tonio Burton? Was he a rookie last year? Was this his first year?
He's been in the 212.
He's done 212.
For a while.
Yeah, okay. Well, because he won the New York Pro. He's got 8th or 9th in the Olympia. 8th in the Olympia. So that's pretty impressive for your first year.
Is he a rookie coming from 212? Because he's been in the 212 the past 2 years.
And he also did do an open show the year prior as well. He jumped into the Legion, I think, and did one show and got about 4th, I think. So cross Tonio. Also,
he's the fucking coolest bodybuilder at the minute.
Tonio.
Like he's fucking cool. He's one of my favorites. It's like now. Just like
I love Tonio.
He's the new school Dexter.
Yeah. I agree. All right, I'm just scropping Tony off. Sorry, bud. And then Rubiel is my number 1 pick.
There's a few other ones out there as well. Like you got Stu Sutherland, but he competed the year prior just after winning his pro card. So it was sort of like his true pro debut in 2023 because it was just off the back of a winning his pro card in 2022 and sort of missed it a bit. So it was sort of like his proper pro debut this year, but I don't think we can count it because I don't know. I'm a stickler for like it has to be
establish some clear guidelines for Rookie of the Year.
Yes, we should have done this prior for sure. But
next year, let's just make it just for the year. You have to be a pro, and your rookie season has to be that year, not anything beforehand, not any under division.
Just give it to Rubiel, and then everyone's clean cut and clear.
Yep. Clean. Yep. Anyway, I agree with you guys. I can't speak at the moment, but Yeah, I agree. Rubiel, like, too dominant of a season in terms of just rocking up, winning his pro card in what was a hard pro qualifier as well. There's another guy, but the guy with the crazy delts was there as well, missing out on his pro card. And so he wins that, goes into a pro show, beats Nathan Diasha, beats a bunch of other really good bodybuilders as well. And people were saying, could he have beaten Crizzo? You know, but he's bigger than these other two guys, which is crazy to say. So yeah, for me, Rubiel definitely. Now let's move on to the most improved bodybuilder. So there's a bunch of names you can put into this one. A few names that I've got. I don't know if you guys have anyone else on the list as well. If you want to rack your mind and see if you can think of anyone, but the names I have listed here is Samson Dauda, because he improved from when you go back to the 2022 Mr. Olympia, where he placed 5th or 6th, I believe, and then he moves up, wins the Arnold Classic, and places 3rd at the Olympia. Tonio Burton, who obviously did an open show at the end of 2022, I believe it was, placed a little bit lower, improved, won in New York, got so much better in that period of time, then places 8th in the Olympia. I think that's huge. Ross Flanagan, who sort of had a disaster the year prior in 2022, came back this year, won a pro show, looked really good, big improvements there. And Stuart Sutherland as well, obviously competed after winning his pro card, came in at the New York Pro and also the Cali Pro, and looked sensational in both, placing, I think, 2nd and 4th, and he could have placed higher. So, Mick, do you have any names to add to that list?
I do. I agree with you on Samson. I think he's made great improvements since last year, and kept making those little improvements for those shows after the Olympia. But I'm going to also add Hunter. I think Hunter's improvements from last year was incredible. Like his condition that he brought was his best ever. He didn't back it up quite as well as the Olympia, but that pro show that he won to qualify the Olympia, that was, man, he looked insane. Obviously, he looked unreal at the Olympia too, but I thought he improved night and day from last year. I'm going to go with Regan too, because I think that's the most Regan's improved in 1 year.
Good one.
From last year to this year. He was in the top 10. He hasn't been in the top 10 of the Olympia before. He did win a pro show. He got a couple of seconds as well, but that is easily the biggest and the roundest and probably the leanest we've seen Regan so far.
That'd be probably the biggest jump in placings also, because he came 15th the last Olympia that he did. Now he come 9th. That's fucking like 6-7 spots.
It's impressive, yeah.
Mm. And he looks to be like still switched on, like pushing it now.
He's big at the moment. You see his latest YouTube updates. He looks massive and in good, really good nick too for off season.
Mm. So it looks like he's taking it like more seriously, but like he can just continue through. Mm. Next year, this year will be very.
In Vegas?
Sorry.
You see the house he bought in Vegas?
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, yeah. Let's all move to Vegas.
We'll talk about that before the show. But there's a lot of good guys that really improved a lot like this year. And it's exciting to look forward and see who might improve in 2024. You got guys like Quentin Araya, who might be mentioning on this list next year, Martin Fitzwater, whole bunch of names that you can sort of mention that are making sort of leaps and bounds in their career. So it's going to be exciting for 2024. But I suppose, Jimmy, who do you have as most improved out of, Samson, Tonio, Ross Flanagan, Stuart Sutherland, Hunter Brada, Regan Grimes? Tonio?
I'll go Antonio, and then a close second, Regan.
I like it. Mick, who have you got?
Of what? Sorry, most improved?
Yeah, who is your most improved?
I just gave you 3 names.
No, you're going to choose one.
Yeah, but who's your most improved? Like, who are you picking as the best?
You know what? I'm going to go Hunter. I thought his comeback from last year's Olympia to this year was absolutely epic.
I'm mixed between Tonio, Stuart Sutherland, and Hunter.
We got to pick one. You just made me pick one.
No. Look, if you weren't mates with Stu wouldn't be on the list.
Did you see how much he improved though? Like, look at that. I reckon he's the most underrated bodybuilder of the year. Not just because
but that's because he underrates himself.
I reckon I reckon next year he'll be on our most improved list, because have a look how he looks right now. When the photos he looks insane right now. But anyway, let's get back to the year.
Yeah.
Xavier, pick one.
I'm going to agree. Oh God, I'm going to agree with you, Mick. I'm going to say Hunter too, because he was written off by so many people, and the fact that he came back and looked so much improved. I think by the Olympia he wasn't his best. I think he was better at the earlier show, which was the which was that Texas and the Tampa? Yeah.
Tampa and Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were two, yeah. And he just looked so improved compared to the year prior. And I think he addressed issues that are hard to address on your physique. Like the midsection was, yeah, it's not perfect, but it was dramatically improved on what it was, like where you can sort of see it sort of pushing out a little bit. He improved his back a huge amount, I thought. And I was worried. I'm like, could he be a little bit too flat and overdo it? But it seemed like he sort of like nailed that balance working with Ben Chow. So
he has to be one of those crazy physiques that just doesn't come through the computer or pictures.
Nah, I agree, Jimmy. I agree with you on that because I've seen him a few times now up close. Even Tampa, not the one just beaten, obviously, but I was about a couple of rows back, and he's one of those physiques that is so different in person, like so different. He looks a lot leaner in person as well.
Yeah,
it just doesn't translate on video and
because it's like you can tell the judges fucking love him. Like, so therefore he must look good. It just doesn't come through the computer screen. So you're looking at it, you're going, fuck, like I'm not seeing what I'm seeing in like even like 9th, 10th, 11th place at the Olympia. But then you're thinking, man, in real life, this guy must be like really, really good because he just keeps getting he's up there. He's up there.
But you could say that. I mean, even Dorian, you look at, you guys probably never saw, but when I saw Dorian in person, pictures just, I know people say this all the time, but pictures did not do him justice. But the size on that guy was absolutely insane. And when photos just didn't show it as much. So I think there's a lot of bodybuilders like that. I mean, we've all seen them and, we've seen bodybuilders in pictures, then we've gone to the Olympia or whatever and just gone, what the, like, you're ridiculous in person. I just think Hunter's one of those guys that just doesn't translate properly on video and pictures to what he does in real life.
Yeah, man, I think so too. I've heard from Dennis James saying like what I was seeing, like looking up there compared to what I saw in the photos later, like he had a much higher opinion looking at him in person from one of the front rows of the Olympia. Yeah. And then he sees the photos and he's like, oh, well, what went wrong, So it's one of those physiques that just doesn't translate. But I've seen it before with heaps of physiques.
Yeah, even at the Olympia, if you're sitting fairly close and you look up at that big screens that they've got, even looking at the big screen, you're like, that doesn't look like what I'm looking at in front of me. There's that slight difference. So which makes a huge difference actually when, someone, how many times do we see after Olympia people watch the pay-per-view and go, everyone was out of condition, like way out of condition, but they're not. They're in quite good condition. It just doesn't show it.
Exactly, man. And that's the thing. Like, I think now we see really up close with the muscle and you get to see if someone doesn't have those deep striations in their shoulders, you'll sort of see it a little bit more rather than the old school. Like I remember seeing, I don't know if it was Who's the Best BB or one of these other pages put up footage and it was sort of granulated like how the footage was from I think it's the British Grand Prix from back in the day. And it was from this year's Olympia and they made the footage a different sort of contrast and all that sort of stuff to emulate it. And I'm like, well, if we saw it looking like that, we'd say everyone was shredded. Best Olympia ever. But it's obviously different video and different lighting and all that sort of stuff. And it seems like the lighting sucks more these days in general, overall, when you talk about like Olympia level and the backgrounds and all that stuff. And I think it sort of hurts the bodybuilders.
Do you think they're going to fix that?
I think some promoters will listen and some won't. But I would love it if the federation as a whole said, hey, these are the rules. You can have these screens, but make them black when the competitors come out or something very subtle and get it ticked off by us. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be that hard to implement.
Do you think if they nailed the lighting, especially for prejudging, and the guys would compete and look fucking cracker every time they go up on stage for prejudging, do you think they'd compete more? Like to get,
I think the federation would look better.
They would. If you could guarantee these guys to get absolutely like insane Iron Man type photos when they compete, fuck yeah, you compete more. Because you look better.
If you had think about this, like if this was like, obviously bodybuilding is the size of like any of these huge sporting federations, but it's still, there's a fair bit of money being, there's still a fair bit of money in bodybuilding. Like obviously we know these guys make a lot of money. So if you implemented something like a lighting standard and we could literally analyze pictures between shows and have more of an idea if this guy looked better or worse at the next show, because literally we're guessing. We guess, like if we say, oh, he's better the next week, we're like, probably based off how all the other guys that competed last week looked this week in the different lighting. But if it was a bit more standardized and, you know, a bit more of the black backdrops or just something that's less distracting, then I think it'd be so much easier as just fans as well. Like, because fans go, oh, fuck, I have no idea. Was he worse? Oh, yeah, he sucked. You know, they just guess.
But even for the promoters, wouldn't, if they had like a standard set lighting system, you know what I mean? Like, they could just give to each promoter. Like, obviously, the venues, etc., they're all different, whatever. But like, surely
these angle lights, these
or
ones,
a setup or whatever that they can just implement. Okay, this is the lighting setup. This is who you got to speak to. If they do it across the board, wouldn't that end up cheaper too? Just because of sheer volume.
IFB employed ones around somewhere in Europe, and they travelled each show or something. And
but like just have a guy based in the States. Every time there's a show, okay, this is the lighting setup you need to use. Give this guy a call. He'll come set it up. If he knows he's doing X amount of shows, the setup or the pricing setup for that, but basically because he's doing multiple shows, will be cheaper than one guy doing a show here, one guy doing a show there, one guy doing a show there.
Yeah, it'd even probably account for travel. You know what I mean? Like the discount, I guess. You know, if it's someone's, because there's so many shows like now, and maybe it'd be hard to do obviously now because they have so many divisions and all that sort of stuff. So I think there's something like, I don't know how many pro shows there are for like men's physique and bikini.
Just standardize what you just said then.
Just standardize it, man. Just say for open shows you need this lighting guy, and
what is this type of lighting?
Yeah, build it into the fee. Build it into the fee to host the show, I guess, maybe, or the sanction or something. I don't know. But anyway, let's get back on topic. Most improved. So we've agreed. Well, we haven't all agreed, but Mick and I have agreed. So we get the overall 2 versus 1. Hunter Labrada is the most improved of the year. Now, most shredded, we've got on my list Roman Fritz, Amir Omaragic, who's the young bodybuilder that's coached by Chris Aceto, who I believe actually after the show, Roman said that he put out a video saying he thought he should have won as well, which was quite funny to hear Roman talk about that. And then you've got Hadi Choopan as well, which you suggested, Mick, who obviously always brings that, as Milos calls, Hadi conditioning to the stage, you know. But anyway, let's go through it. My opinion, I'll quickly go with mine first, Roman Fritz, because of his consistency and how many times he brought that insane conditioning. And could you say Amir's as hard as Roman? It's like, you probably could, but to one show he was maybe as hard as Roman, and then he showed up at other shows too where he was still shredded, but he came inside out when he was against just him and Roman as the top 2 call out. But for me, Hardy's conditioning from the back is the reason I wouldn't give it to Hadi, just because while he's in that granite, and I'm sure if you saw him in person, you go, he's inside out shredded. I think from the back, it just isn't quite as crisp, and I think Roman has it from, especially from the back, but from all angles as well. So I'd say Roman. Mick, do you have Hadi?
Yeah, no, I think Roman overall. Hadi obviously from the front. I think if Hadi was the same from the back as the front, easy hands down Hadi. But yeah, now that we discussed a little bit more before the show, I think Roman overall for sure.
Yeah.
Nick Walker.
Nick Walker. He was hard at the Arnold.
What other bodybuilder was described as too conditioned at the Arnold? Nick Walker, too conditioned.
I'd say too flat, people said, because he pushed the conditioning too. Okay.
I can see another bet coming up here.
I bet you Nick Walker will win a
Nick,
45 mil.
Yeah, there's a lot of money you owe to people, Jimmy.
Nick Walker, most conditioned Arnold Classic.
All right, it's 2 Romans, 1 Nick.
Yep, we win again, Mick.
It's kind of a deadbeat, I'm double your size.
Oh, it's funny. All right, let's go bodybuilder of the year. And obviously, you got to pick the top Olympia guys. You got Samson Dauda, who was actually the biggest earner on stage for the year, which obviously superseded Derek Lunsford getting 3rd at the Olympia and 1st at the Arnold Classic, with them upping it to 300k. You got Derek Lunsford obviously going from 2nd up to 1st at the Mr. Olympia. You've got Hadi Choopan. That's going to be a hard sell because he dropped a spot obviously at the Olympia. And they're my main contenders. I can't think of anyone else outside of like Keon Pearson, if we're going to include the 212s as well. but and also Chris Bumstead. But I don't know if we're including Classic and 212. What do you guys think?
If we are including, say, Classic, I'm going to go Bumstead hands down. He won that's his 5th Olympia title. That's friggin', he's right up there. But if we're just doing opens, I'm going to go Derek because he's won the Mr. Olympia.
And it's his first time, big deal.
Yeah. You can't. You've won the biggest show in the world.
You've got an argument for Samson.
You do because of the shows he's done. Yeah, correct. I agree.
Yeah, but
the biggest show in the world.
You have to give it to Derek.
Yeah. But if we did have every class in there, I would go Bumstead because of winning it 5 times.
Yeah, and his growth in popularity this year, I don't know if that comes into it at all, but when you look at his following, I think from like the start of the year to the end, he's like doubled it, which is crazy.
Have you seen he's now got he's got that app on his phone, the training app or the challenge app or whatever. How many people, let's just, because this was going back to last week when we spoke about it. So I think it's like $30 a month or something like that. How many people do you reckon would sign up? There'd have to be, let's just throw
what percentage of his followers do you reckon?
Let's base it off 1%.
Well, I don't reckon one. Well, that'd be a very huge amount. That'd be a very... Okay, so I'm going 22.5 million times by 0.01. So that's 225,000 people.
Okay, so half of those are kids. Say half of those are all teenagers that don't have their own money. So take half.
You times that by 30 and it's 6.75 million. And if you half that, it's 3.375 million.
That's very, very...
Is that per month?
That's a month.
Well, if he can get 1% of his audience...
If he's got 22-something million followers, you can reasonably say he's got 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
It depends. Yeah.
Think about it though. I know people that have signed up to people that were on like reality TV shows, workout programs and stuff. So CBUM is like the number one to people. You know what I mean? Even though he's not Mr. Olympia Open, like I wouldn't buy it personally, but there's plenty of kids that would. Like $30 a month is manageable for college kids. Yeah.
I remember when Jay did his challenge and he was talking about it, and he had a hell of a lot of people sign up for that 12-week period. So imagine Bumstead with his popularity.
And Jay's fans are older fans too, typically, that already know what they're doing. CBUM has younger fans that are still learning. They're going to the gym and get the best results possible.
20 million followers, you're only asking for 100,000.
It's not crazy.
That's not a very big number when you're talking 20 mil.
What's 100,000, Xavier? What's 100,000 at $30 a month?
300.
Oh, fuck, how bad one month? Can we cut that part out?
No, it's 3 million, isn't it?
No.
Times by 30.
Oh, God, you were a PE teacher, you should know.
Oh, it is 30 million. Actually, I was wrong.
3 million, yeah. 3 million.
Fucking 3 million.
Let's just say that's what it is. 3
a
million
month times by 12. 36 million a year.
That just seems like way out of the world, doesn't it? But it's possible.
So just say, but he only gets.
I like this. We've got all these. What is?
So that's only point. That's only 0.3 or so of a percent of his followers, and he'll be making 36 million a year. Yeah. So if he gets 0.1%, he's still making over 10 million a year. That's wild. I don't know how we went down that trail, but yeah, CBUM is making bank.
A rabbit hole there, but
yeah, that's why CBUM.
You start talking those numbers, and now he's having a kid. Like to get out of the bed in the morning to do this fucking next prep is going to be tough.
Plus the money he's making from his YouTube videos, because obviously he's getting close to 1 million views, a lot of those ones. Plus his apparel, plus his supplement line, plus his guest appearances.
I'll rewind that back. If he doesn't compete, all that will reduce. So maybe it is easier getting up to do this prep.
I think he's going again for number. Anyway, back on. So most of the bodybuilder of the year, Bumstead.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Give it to Bumstead, even if it is only open. He's making.
Yeah, I'll say Bumstead overall, but Lunsford if it's the Open as well. I'm tempted for Samson, but I feel like Samson would have had to get second at the Olympia and win the Arnold and then win those two other shows, and then I'd be like, you can take it off for Mr. Olympia winner. But
if Derek,
I don't think so.
Or if it wasn't Derek's first Olympia. Like the first one.
I just think Bodybuilder of the Year should always be the guy that wins the remember Ronnie, every year Ronnie was always
but it's a fucking boring award show then, isn't it?
Yeah, then you have to make it so if someone can just have an awesome year, like how people say, is Dexter the GOAT? Which I don't believe Dexter's the GOAT. He's won one Olympia, but people make that argument because of how many shows he's won as well. Samson won the Arnold plus two other shows, so he got 3 wins and third at the Olympia. So, but yeah, I agree. The Mr. Olympia is always a bodybuilder of the year in reality. You know, the best bodybuilder. Yeah, no, agreed. But anyway, that was a good show. That was fun. But yeah, we'll be back again, guys. We're going to have a few episodes probably before this one going up, and we'll be back again next week. And let us know in the comments as well who you want to see on What's the Word. We're lining up Chris Cormier and a few other guests as well to come on soon. So
Bumstead.
Anyway, guys, yeah, Bumstead, he'll be on soon too. I'm sure he's heard this and wants to tell us how much money he's making exactly on his app. But anyway, let's wrap it up. For myself, Xavier Wills, Jimmy Sadek, and Michael Galley, this is What's the Word, and we are